it all goes back for me, Golden, the whole trial and error with everything, whether it's producing content, whether it's just day-to-day stuff. Kind of you live and learn. And I know it's funny, as you get older, all those like little sayings and quotes, you go, man, that shit is whack, I don't want to hear about that.
Yeah.
It's all true.
Yeah.
It's really all true.
Yeah, I feel that with just take things day by day. Like when I was younger, I used to be so annoyed hearing about that, but now these days I'm like, I dead ass just have to take it day by day. Take it day by day. Like you have your short-term goals, you have your long-term goals, but at the same time, it's like gotta live in the moment. You know?
Celebrate small wins too.
Yeah.
Right? Of course, you want all the big things to happen, but along the way, you need to celebrate yourself when some good shit happens to you.
Yeah.
Before you got to PFL, what, from like the Culture Hub writing, where'd you go next? Like, what was that route to get to PFL with the stuff that you're doing now?
Mm-hmm. So, great question. So, pretty much after I quit my 9 to 5, I was doing Culture Hub, I was doing editorial, but I also was doing like a lot of different freelancing gigs, right? Like I was doing freelance live social coverage for Formula One drift racing. And I was just doing like lots of different things like that. And which started from an interview. I interviewed one of my mentors and my very good friends, Bakim Chernova, who started pretty much a real life fight club. So in
like legit.
So he started in 2009. So he was a model. He was just a crazy entrepreneur. Went on tour with like a lot of music artists like Bass Nectar, and it kind of just started from like homies chopping it up, like, yo, who could beat each other in a boxing fight? So he pretty much just started having fights in warehouses, just different spaces in the city and in BK. And I heard about him because I went to a Super Bowl party. And, of course, I'm talking about like, yeah, like, I'm in MMA, I'm doing this. And someone was like, yo, like, have you heard of FNT? And I was like, no, like, what's that? And I'm here confident, like, yo, I go to a fight every week. Like, what is this? So
what promotion is this one?
Yeah. So I heard about it and I pretty much DM'd him and I was like, yo, like, I heard you, throw some crazy fights. Cause I also searched it up and, this guy's in the New York Times. Like, it's just like a lot of things.
Oh, so it's like legit.
Yeah. So pretty much FNT, it was, is amateur and it was smokers, right? So for people who don't know, that's a non-sanctioned fight. So
usually it's if like I've been training 6 months at a gym, they'll find another kid from another gym that's been training 6 months. Usually you're on the same playing field.
Yeah.
You're not going to be a white belt in jiu-jitsu and then you're going to fight a black belt. Like they won't do that to you. But it's like, especially when it comes to MMA.
Yeah, like the coaches are gonna like...
Unless you have asshole coaches, for the most part, there's like an unwritten rule of... Because one of my buddies did a smoker and he was doing Muay Thai for about 8 months. Mm-hmm. And the kid that he fought was doing Muay Thai about 8 months. And his gym and his coach knew the other gym and the other coach. And there was like it's the same, You're not going to go in there and get overwhelmed.
Yeah, so pretty much. So this is in 2018. So I met him, just hit him up for an interview. It seemed dope. And what was cool about FNT was they would do boxing, Muay Thai, MMA, K1, but it was standing room only. And it was in a different space every time, and they would have musical performances in between. So they had like, Mike Jones perform, ASAP Ferg perform, and just you have a DJ spinning the whole time. So like when the bell rings, people go back to the corner, get some water, someone's spinning, right? So it was like a party all at the same time, people drinking. Like it pretty much combined all the things I love.
In one place.
Yeah, in one place. So, I chopped it up with him. I did an interview. And it was just kind of like real recognize real. And he was just like, yo, like, honestly, I'm about to relaunch FNT and with Matt Projects, which is probably one of the dopest creative agencies in the world, and to like really increase the production value. And it was going to be sanctioned, right? And they were building a whole immersive brand out of it. And he was like, yo, honestly, like, I dig your vibe, like, your shit. Like, I'd love for you to like just come and work with me on this. So pretty much he took me under his wing. And I think at the time we had the interview, 2 months later, they had the first relaunch event of FNT. So FNT Volume 1, we had it in the ballroom of the Williamsburg Hotel in Brooklyn, and it was the dopest thing I saw at that time. It was just crazy. It was, fights happening, was like 5 straight knockouts, had 8-track spinning, had Cameron pull up in the ring, come in, doing a performance, like,
Killer Cam.
Yeah, and it's like the dope thing about it was that the audience it attracted, you had people there, whether it's from like Sarah BJJ or like different New York, Henzo Gracie, like all that, hardcore MMA community, fight community in New York. But then you had this model who's in this Fendi ad over here. And then you had like, this actor and this, different creatives, young photographers, like all that stuff. So, I went under his wing and I really just learned a lot just from the promotion aspect of it, right? Like talking to brands, doing brand partnerships, building an influencer network and figuring out how that is, just seeing how we position the brand, right? And that was probably one of my most memorable experiences, honestly, because that I saw like it really helped me get a 360 perspective on the industry, right? Like, so in years, I grew up, I know this as a fan. Now I'm interviewing fighters, I'm interviewing brand owners, different promoters. Like I understand that perspective, but now I'm in it. Like I'm talking to brands, right? And I'm hearing what they think about MMA. I'm hearing what they think about MMA with, like girls twerking in the middle of a ring, right? And Cameron pulling up. I'm hearing what, they're buying into, what they're hesitant towards. It was a dope learning experience.
You're good. Sorry, I just had to address that. Yeah.
It was just a dope learning experience. And, we had events in New York. We had events in Miami. We had events in LA. And it was all experiential. So we threw a fight in a bank.
I'm getting upset hearing all this because I'm thinking about how COVID has just silenced all these like gatherings and all the craziness, man.
I know, man.
So devastating.
Yeah, it's that's what I'm telling you. Like, it's like my life. I was always on the go. Like, I was just always used to like seeing people in person, chopping it up in person. All right, we have to brainstorm about something. Like, yo, let's chop it up. Let's post up in the office, get some food and just knock it out.
The only time I see my friends now is if they come on the podcast or if we go to my buddy Josh's crib for pay-per-views. That's about it. The whole like, yo, let's go grab a beer at a bar, man. They're letting people. Nah, I don't want to go. COVID.
Yeah, it's COVID.
It sucks.
It sucks, man. But
especially here in New York.
I know.
People in Florida are probably like, we don't know what y'all talking about.
Yeah, they're like, yo, we having all the fights. We having all the
sports events. We having everything, man.
Yeah, like we're pulling up to everything. It's just regular. But it's crazy because that's what people come to New York for.
Absolutely.
Like that's what you come to New York for.
Well, I talk about this all the time. You put up with shitty living expenses so that you could be down the road from Caroline's on Broadway, or I'm 2 blocks from the R train to get me into the city in 2 stops.
Right.
But I don't got that same look. I mean, everything is available, but there's nowhere to go. Yeah. Which is trash.
Yeah, it's like what are we going to do? Like, so now it's kind of like, I have my homies that like pretty much my 4 homies who are the only people I see, and it's like, all right, pull up to your crib this time. Pull up to your crib next time. Right.
And that's about it. And you just like circle through.
Yeah.
From there you go to PFL. Mm-hmm. What's that experience been like, and how are you enjoying it? It's because ultimately you got like the thing that you really wanted. Yeah. You're with a big promotion. Yeah. And you're doing the thing that you love. So you finally got there. Yeah. I want you to tell me the feeling when you get that like call to go and work with them. It was because I'm close to having that feeling without saying too much.
All right.
I'm very close on a big decision I have to make, and it is something I've been working really fucking hard for a long time. Yeah. And it's like I have a thing where be your own cosign.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
But also, eventually, you do need someone to give you that extra kick in the ass to get you over the hump. Yeah. And I'm like very, very close. And it's pretty much finalized, but I can't share it yet. Okay. I know I'm being very cryptic. So how long
are we, how long we gotta wait then?
You gotta wait a couple weeks.
Couple weeks.
Couple weeks.
You gonna do the big reveal on the show?
I'm gonna do a big reveal. There's gonna be a video. There's gonna be a wrestling promo that a lot of people, because there's a lot of people that are gonna need to hear it. Everyone's entitled to an opinion.
Yeah.
But you are also entitled to remind everyone how bad their opinion was. So that's my TED Talk.
I feel that. Well, first off, bless up. That's super exciting.
Thank you.
But how did it feel? So yeah, so you know, I was doing all of these things. You know, I'm rocking with FNT. I'm like me, like I was. If you ask me, that time when I was, you know, a teenager watching Gina Carano versus Cyborg on Showtime, like I kind of was doing already at that point what I wanted to do, right? But you know, I wasn't looking for a job. Someone from PFL reached out to me, pretty much, you know, on LinkedIn, just like, hey, like, you know, we have this position. Da, da, da.
On their own.
On their own. I didn't apply because I wasn't looking. The
best things in life happen when you don't expect them.
Yep.
That's another one of my TED Talks. Because it's true, though.
Yeah.
It's true, right? Like, the same thing with me. This situation came out of nowhere.
Right.
Came out of nowhere. I was asked one question if I was interested. I was like, yeah, absolutely. And that was it. And it's like, I never would have thought that this would happen.
Yeah. And at the same time, like, you've been hustling, you've been grinding, like, you got all these shows on your belt. Like, you know, like, you're doing your thing and you're not even thinking about, I need this to be here. That's maybe just in the back of your head, but it's like you're just, you know, you're in your motion. And
well, the things flip-flop for me because my thinking was always, what's going to happen? We talked about this before. What's going to happen in 5-10 years? Mm-hmm. And I was just letting everything go past me. And now I'm very persistent. To the point where, like, I'm annoying. Like, I'm facts are facts. I'm annoying when it comes to certain things. Like, I never asked for something I don't feel like I deserve or earned. And then I stopped asking for things, and that's when things started happening for me. That's very important. If there's anything you take from this, it's that. It's like, yo, don't ask people for shit because they're not going to do it for you. It's going to happen organically. When I do my shows, I just show up. I fucking love doing them. I think one of the reasons why I got down these last couple days is because I haven't recorded in 2 weeks. So as much as I want to take time off, I can't because this is the one thing that makes me feel fucking lively.
Yeah.
So I got you here today. Tomorrow I got a friend coming in. Tomorrow, the day after, I got my buddy coming in from Sports Illustrated. So it's like, yeah, man, I want to step away. I get it. But also, like, this is an escape for me. Mm-hmm. So it's so rewarding, like it was for you with the whole PFL thing, because, dude, you made mad sacrifices, man. And sometimes you also live in the moment because it's you. Like, when it's me and people tell me, my buddy Mustafa again goes, dude, anytime you mention or tweet or post, he always texts me. Yo, 1,200 episodes is crazy. CJ and Serge are like, what the hell? You've done that many? Like,
yeah, that's crazy.
We haven't written that many articles. You're doing audio, right? But it's like, yeah, man, it's your whole body of work that people are enthralled by. And that's the big selling point to it. So with you, to sort of give you your flowers, it's like you've been living it. So you might not think like what you've done is dope or cool or unconventional because it's you. That's how I feel too. But when you have outside people that look into your story, like hearing this, I mean, it's been fucking beautiful to hear that you've made these sacrifices and then you finally got that payoff.
Thank you so much. But you're right. Like, it's what I'm living every day. So it's even like how I said, like, at first when I was pulling up the fights and people would say like, oh no, like they're assuming that I'm there for everything but work. It threw me off because I'm like, dude, this is just me. Like, everyone in my life, they know me as MMA's homegirl. Like, they know that's what I'm the chick you watch fights with, you know, like, yo, let's pull up, let's watch a fight. Like, that's my life. So, yeah. So, you know, at the time I was working with FNT, I wasn't looking for a job. So I was working with FNT and the agency that was also helping produce the events because the production value was out of this world. Right, it wasn't just like a regional show you would go to. It literally looked like a movie, even just the way we did the promotions and content and things like that before the event. So I was doing that, and the agency, Matt Project, they were like, yo, like, how's Golden getting these meetings with these different brands? So they were a 360 agency, but they had experiential events. So I started working on both sides, like with F&T, like as a community manager, you know, right hand with the founder, doing all of that. And then I started working on sponsorships and brand partnerships for the MAP projects as a whole with all of their other events. So I was pretty good with what I was doing, you know. I was just rocking, right? Like F&T is gonna build up. And yeah, someone reached out to me on LinkedIn about job at PFL. And ironically, I've been to PFL fights. I went to a lot of the fights in their first season in 2018. I went to their championships at MSG. I went to their first actual fight, actually, 2018. So the first season, their opener, which was also at MSG. So I knew what it was. And at the time, I thought, hey, PFL's dope. Like, the more platforms for MMA, the better. Like,
oh, absolutely.
Yeah, like
it's the same thing with like in wrestling too. Like AEW just started a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And it's like that's dope because you want to have competition. You don't want to have a monopoly where it's just one person. Like that's when things get stale. That's when there's no anticipation of, oh, is this person coming over? Is that person going there? You guys have just signed a bunch of big names, like household names over, and that brings credibility and it's dope. You want to have that. You want to have options.
Yeah, and you know, like, because there is some crossover with MMA, like the MMA community and wrestling, but you know, like as a wrestling fan and MMA fan, like we're so hard to please. Like we always want more.
I one of my sayings also is never good enough.
Of course.
It's just never, no matter what it is, what it is. You help some old lady carry her luggage out of the car into the airport. They're like, man, she wants something from her. What is it?
Right.
She want to be in her will or some shit like that. It's like, nah, man, I'm just being like a kind soul, but it's just never good enough for people.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like you always want more. You always want more. So for me, I was just kind of like, all right, cool, yeah. Like I've been pulling up to PFL. I wrote an article about the championship. So I was like, all right, this is kind of funny. Like, all right, cool, yeah, let me do this. So you know, I went through the whole interview process. It was pretty rigorous, I will say. And honestly, what appealed to me too, because mind you, I quit that 9 to 5, right? And that was because, like, you know, I didn't want to be a robot. I wanted to do something that I was passionate about doing. So even with working on the bigger level with these different platforms for MMA, I was just like, listen, if I'm going to do this, like, I want to do it my way too. I want people to respect me as an individual. I want to have a voice. I don't want to just be told to do 5 things each and every single day. And you know, PFL wasn't the first company on that level to reach out to me, but they were the best. And they really, even just in an interview process, they really were looking for like my voice, you know, like, how do you see this brand? How do you see the industry? Like, what's your perspective? And in that, like, you know, I pull up to my interviews in Royal Jordans, like, you know, I was like, yo, this is me. Like, you know, this is me. I'm not gonna conform to any way. And, yeah, I got the offer. It all went well. It was actually around this time last year, almost to the week, actually. Yeah, I think my year anniversary was like last week.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah. That I started working. So it was dope. And ironically, I started working about maybe a few weeks before COVID like really hit. So that was interesting as well. But it really gave me an opportunity because, you know, first off, you know, I'm 26. I know like a lot of people could say I'm young for what I'm doing, right? But they really believed in me, and I believed in myself. And especially during 2020, you know, we postponed our season. It wasn't the best timing just to hold the integrity of the sports season format. So for people, you know, people who watched, you know, MMA as a whole, you're used to seeing one-off events. That's kind of what we call it, right? Like, it's just, you know, here's the number of the fight, you know, the cards put together, however the matchmaker or promoter wants to put it together, and that's the pay-per-view you'll see. But with the PFL, it operates on the sports season format. So you're a football guy. Mm-hmm. So, like, you kind of know this vibe. So started for a regular season, playoff, and a championship. So, you know, the first fight of the regular season, you know, those matchups are made, but from there, it's really on to the fighters how they end up throughout the season.
As far as activity?
As far as who they fight next, right? So it's like you start off and then, you know, in PFL 1, like the first fight of the regular season, our fight operations will make that matchup, and then from there, based off who wins or loses, that's how
you match each other
yeah,
up.
that's how you match
So
up.
would you match it up winner versus winner? Is it winner loser? Like how is that process about?
Yeah, so usually it's winner versus loser, but there's also a point system, right? So depending on how you finish the fight, you accrue a certain number of points,
Right,
and that's how
right.
you acquire whether you're the number 1 seed, the number 2 seed, different things of that
So
nature.
there's like finish bonuses.
Exactly.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Because you give them an incentive to go out there and perform.
Exactly. And it's, to me, I loved, even like when I just pulled up to the first fight, I loved it because I was like, yo, this is so different. Like, just as a fan, like I've watched everything and I'm like, yo, this is cool. This is kind of different. And I wasn't super into traditional American sports. Like I wasn't super into football. I wasn't super into that. So to me, it was unfamiliar to me. I was just into MMA, and this was just a whole different way to watch MMA. And I love that. So a lot of fighters like that too, because it's like, hey, like you're just not looking at one fight ahead. If you're in PFL, it's more than a fight. It's a whole season. It's a whole season. And at the end of the season, if you make it to championships, you grind out through playoffs, make it to championships, you get a world title, you get $1 million bag. Men get $1 million bag, women get $1 million bag. And I think that shit's fire. That's super fire.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big ass payday.
Hell
That's a huge payday.
Hell yeah. And that's in every weight division, baby. Every weight division. So 6 weight divisions, 6 championships, $6 million bags.